welcome to the Pointy End. I'm Keith Sutherland. Today my guest is Peter Jeffrey from the City of Greater Bendigo Economic Development Unit, who is the coordinator of small business. Peter, welcome.
Thanks, Keith.
Now you've got a new role there at looking after small business. Just tell us a little bit about what the role is.
There is a new role, and the reason for the new role is a shift to focus on support for the small business community. It really originated from when we reviewed our economic development strategy, and we produced a 2014 to 2020 economic development strategy that's now available. There was a clear push for more support for the small business community. So as a result, there was a review of what sort of a role I was playing, but also a review of the role of a couple of other staff. And one staff in particular is Dawn Holland, who's my colleague, playing in the space of support to the small business community. I've been given the title of coordinator for small business support, and largely my role is full-time on coordinating the efforts to support the small business community through a number of initiatives and programs and activities.
That's great, because it's something that's well and truly needed in regional Victoria country, because small business is really the hub of activity, employment, and sometimes it's pretty difficult to try and manoeuvre your way around some of these areas. So it's great that the city have taken this initiative, particularly under the arm of the Economic Development Unit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's important to recognise that 85% of our businesses in Greater Bendigo employ less than 5 staff. So you're dead right. The small business community, small business in our instance, around that 5 staff and under mark, are the backbone of our economy, and it's our largest employer for the region collectively. So this is a really important fact, because it's quite a big area and quite a responsibility to try and look after that community. And having been a small business owner myself, I know I never had anyone walk through my door and say, "Hi, I'm from council, I'm here to help." However, I'm now in that position where I can run activities and initiatives and walk through people's door to do just that. So
that's really good. The other part about this is really the economic development arm of council is perhaps gone under the radar, I can say that, in my opinion, because we've always focused and we've always seen lots of publicity about the arts, culture, and it's been amazing, no question about that. But it still comes under the same directorate, but at the end of the day, so if you can run past me, and then we'll talk about some of the things you've got coming up with the workshops, but just really the major role of the Economic Development Unit. You're talking small business, but it's larger than that, and what the role is, because as I said, it does go under the radar in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call, and I'd agree with you. We do fly under the radar, and there are a couple of reasons why that occurs. The most important reason is often there's commercial in confidence conversations that go on. So there are a number of organisations, larger entities, that have moved to Bendigo through influence from the Economic Development Unit. However, we're bound to confidentiality in some of these discussions so that no information leaks out. And that's for their own reason, and I can understand through commercial reasons why you wouldn't want that information to leak out early. So often we do fly under the radar because some of our conversations need to be kept fairly secretive for obvious reasons, but essentially the other side of the Economic Development Unit is about promoting Bendigo, and that's where we can well and truly fly above the radar there, but often it's to outside markets, so not necessarily to within Bendigo itself, because often, as you can appreciate, it's no use preaching to the converted. So we are actively out there trying to attract and encourage businesses to look at expanding or moving to the region, and that's through a variety of different events. And the Economic Development Unit itself, as a group, we often get requests from state government, from a larger organisation or a corporation or agglomerate who've said, we would like to expand, shift, relocate some of our premises. And as a result, we then need to provide information back to the state government to pass on to that person, so or that proprietor. So I guess we're in a situation where we do often provide information back and forth, but the public don't necessarily see that. A lot of the programs and initiatives that occur in Bendigo, there is some sort of involvement. always you'll see, not always, but often you'll see the council badge on things, and the council, or City of Greater Bendigo badge, is represented by the various organisations that the council as an organisation offer. The Economic Development Unit is one of those, and often we don't get to say, we are the Economic Development Unit that helped this. It's more so, we are the city who have helped this.
Okay.
So,
Just come back to that point, because economic development, regional development, and coming to the bush has been on the agenda, off the agenda. I remember 40 odd years ago, way before you were born, that I was involved in some of these things with decentralisation, which was a buzz cry. Then the Kennett government came to town. The Kane government wanted to bring the Department of Agriculture to Bendigo. I was involved with trying to bring people to town at that stage. The Kennett government came to town and said, no, it's all going to be centralised, basically Spring Street. But the thing is, are there incentives that the council can offer some of these new industries, business? The thing that I've discussed a fair bit lately with Jason Clare, who was in town, the Shadow Minister for Communications, was we are, in my opinion, missing out because Ballarat, Shepparton will have fast fibre to the premises broadband. We're going to miss out. So what other incentives can we bring to businesses from the council? Is there a rate reduction, or is there some other incentives that council can offer to bring some of these people to town? Because I think we've got the best of all worlds here, so close to Melbourne, great lifestyle, great education, everything else about it. So is there any incentives that you can offer? I'm not saying tell us exactly what they are, because you've got to compete with everybody else.
No, it's a good point, and I agree. There are a number of incentives that different councils offer. And rate reductions, etc., are always something that's topical and on the agenda. It's something that we don't do in the City of Greater Bendigo. However, you're right, I do believe that we do have everything here to offer. And why wouldn't a business want to consider coming to Bendigo? We do have quite an attractive workforce, quite an attractive place to live, and it is the geographical centre of the state, which makes logistics, etc., quite accessible for that type of industry. So I guess from a perspective of what we currently have to offer, I think there's a lot on offer currently, and that's why businesses are already looking at us. The cotton glove treatment that I think you're talking about are initiatives such as organic networking groups, the types of different groups that are established for business throughout Bendigo, and that's independently, not necessarily by council. So I think it's fair to say that our business community is quite switched on and quite well connected, and often businesses say, it is a saying, that if you can make it in Bendigo, you can pretty much make it anywhere else.
That's right.
And I think it's fair to say that the reason for that is the Bendigo community often is quite cliquey, but if you find one of these niches to group in with, you have a really good crack at making it in business. I think that's a fair thing to say. I don't want to get too in-depth as to why that might be, but I think there are reasons why the business community look for self-help, and also council provides some services to help nurture that and encourage that. So I think the number of business groups that exist throughout Bendigo, and I think the business leaders that exist in Bendigo, are quite dynamic, and as a result, that's quite an attraction in itself. So there's an element of the private sector that are offering services and attractive initiatives for businesses to look at in the first instance. Council's role really is to come in and try and be the mortar in between the different organisations and connect. So I see my role in the small business community in particular as being a connection style role. So essentially the hub, and being able to provide advice and assistance to the various organisations and groups and direct people to those. So I think that's important for startup businesses and also businesses looking to relocate to our region, because the common questions I get, where is the money? Show me the money, and how do I get new customers? They're the two most common questions. And to address that, where's the money? We have an exciting new initiative that I think we might talk about a little bit later. And where can I get new customers is the reason why I've developed this booklet, which is the Business Support Directory. And essentially this was developed with a group of 7 La Trobe University students. We had a publication existing, and we've updated that publication to include more information that would be of interest to small businesses. Now, this is available on the City of Greater Bendigo website via the business page. There is a tab there for business. If you click on that tab, that's where everything is that we do in the Economic Development Unit. But this publication goes through the various networking groups. There's about 16 networking and business groups, trader groups we'd call them, who are there to support businesses.
And hard copy at the council offices, I take it?
Hard copy is available at the council offices, yeah. So there's some exciting things, and this is reflecting back to your original question, there's some exciting things that are happening in the private sector, such as spaces for business to meet. There's a clear trend towards sole traders or consultants operating from home and enjoying the benefits and the flexible lifestyle that offers, also operating from cafes, etc. Now, operating as a sole trader there's quite a population here of people doing just that, and it can be quite unhealthy operating in isolation from home. Hence, they're going along to the cafes. Now, there's a number of cafes and venues in Bendigo that have offered services for both one-on-one meetings and also for that person to take a client or a group of clients to do a presentation. And they've provided these services free or extremely cheap. In other words, if you buy a cup of coffee from us, we'll provide the projector and the screen and the boardroom for you. And they're also listed in that directory. So practical services, practical information are also included in this booklet. It's not just the networking groups and the industry organisations. Yes, we've got the federal, state and local government bodies that are here to help as well. However, it's also the organic organisations such as the Motel Owners Association, etc., who are there that are real industry support groups for businesses moving into that sector, or geographically within a certain area, there are business groups identified who exist there as well, such as Heathcote, the Bath Lane Trader Group and Eaglehawk, BCM 3556, etc. So they're just some examples. But each of these groups I try and meet with, and that's really where you get a lot of information from the industry, so I can be eyes and ears and listen and find out what it is that businesses are looking for and what these organisations are trying to do to try and assist them. So I guess it's a long-winded answer to your question, Keith, but I think that's fair to say that there's some existing really good dynamic people that are operating in Greater Bendigo, and that's an attraction in itself, without a doubt. Our role is to try and complement and support that, but also produce some initiatives and services that help bolster and boost and promote those.
Just on that point, I noticed a really good program on the ABC the other day about the workspace where people are working from home, having a space outside, because you start to lack the discipline working from home. So I think some of those ideas are great. Now, bring it back to some of the workshops, as I mentioned before. You've got the first workshop coming up, Accounting and Business, hosted by Dennis Barnett from AFS, and then you go on to talk about banking and finance from, and then brand protection and business, project management and business. So you've got some terrific real initiatives and workshops, because far too often we see all this stuff come through online, on Facebook, Twitter, a whole lot, but it's mostly in Melbourne. So it's terrific that we are offering something to our local businesses, because they think that they are alone, but obviously with the backup you and Dawn are offering to local community, this is another extension of where you're going. So just if you want to tell us about some of those workshops that are coming up over, and I think they start on February the 22nd, go to March the 21st. So terrific workshops, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely some fantastic workshops there. There's a couple of points to this. As far as workshops are concerned, it's great to have workshops, but they've got to be the right topics. These workshops, those 4 that you've mentioned, are an extension of the original Bendigo Hospital project. So in essence, we had some projects around the hospital build that were designed to involve and engage our local businesses in that project as best possible. As you can imagine, when a large contractor comes in, we want our local services to be involved in the process and continue, because we're living here after all. The workshops that you mentioned, the 4, are an extension of that momentum that the hospital built. So Kendall Hopley, has, a member of the team, has been the lead instigator behind a lot of these workshops. So those workshops are open to obviously any business, but they're quite a dynamic topic and quite dynamic people who are involved in those. So as an extension to engage community, you'll notice that a lot of those people who are involved in those workshops are our locals. And there's also a questionnaire that I've sent out, and that's to the business groups that I was mentioning before who are in this booklet, to ask the question, what topics would you like? So we've got a series that we've planned, and it's always a question. What workshops are coming up? What's on your events calendar? And this is where it needs to be a little bit organic in the sense that we can plan some, however we need to leave flexibility to allow for others. So we've got the workshops that are currently happening this first half of the year, and then we've got the Small Business Festival where you'll find another 25 workshops. That's during August. So the whole month of August is dedicated under a state government event. Bendigo's a proud partner of that. However, we've got 25 events that'll be running during August, and there'll be a number of other programs that revolve around that month as well. So we've engaged the community to ask the question, what would you like? We've extended the Bendigo Hospital program and kept that momentum going because it was built, and we thought it best to keep that momentum going and engage the community and keep those topics on the roll and on the hop. And we've also asked the question, what else would you like? So I guess when it comes to workshops, there's so much going on in Bendigo from the private sector as well. And this is a really key point. A lot of other municipalities don't enjoy the number of workshops that we have in Bendigo. There's a number of private businesses who are running workshops that are related to their specific field of expertise. And as a result, our businesses can benefit from those free or very cheap workshops. We also then run government-style workshops or government-related workshops. And then there are workshops that are hybrid where we're using members of the private sector to deliver a lot of those topics. So it's a combination of a lot of things. And state government also play in this space. They provide a service where they will engage a private contractor to deliver the topic because they're not the industry professionals, the person delivering is. So there's a fairly mixed approach to delivering and identifying workshops, how they're delivered and what topics they are. But one thing that's quite exciting, and this is a first, Keith. We haven't promoted this yet.
Always.
Any organisation who's running an event designed to support business can be listed on the City of Greater Bendigo calendar free of charge. That's our What's On calendar that appears on the homepage. So this can be done again by going to the City of Greater Bendigo page and clicking on the business button. There is a clear link to list your business event. Now that's done free of charge. It doesn't matter if there's a fee. If it's designed to support business, it's listed so that everyone can see what's happening. So this is an important element of what we do. Another way to support what's already happening. We can provide some initiatives such as these workshops, but also I think it's quite important to support those workshops that are happening already organically by the private sector. So that's I think an important aspect to workshops. We can deliver ours, however there are a number of others that other people and organisations are delivering. Now we've got a calendar finally where we can see everything. So,
well, Peter, that's fantastic news. It's great that Bendigo, City of Greater Bendigo are obviously supporting a lot of this. I really appreciate you appearing on the Pointy End program this morning. And as I said before, a lot of the things that have really gone under the radar, because when you look at the highest gross regional product growth in regional Victoria, you've got a gross regional product greater than $5.4 billion and population of 108,000 growing annually at 1.6. Bendigo is doing something right. People like yourself and Dawn in that small business area are doing a wonderful job. So really appreciate you expanding on what your role is, what you're doing from the City of Bendigo point of view. But I really appreciate you appearing on the program today.
Great. Thanks a lot, Keith.
Thank you.